Let's get into fundamental voice. Prakash Diwan, Chief Portfolio Strategist at Prakash Diwan's Wealth Circle, joins in. Prakash, thanks much for joining in. Normally I wouldn't have come to you for a nifty call. We've gotten that from our experts, but specifically because last week I remember you saying that we would close the expiry closer to 100 points higher from where we ended Friday. This morning probably gives us that little bit of a push. You think it can continue, considering that there are shorts in the system as well and it's expiry week?
Precisely because of that, Neeraj. The shorts in the system have been on for throughout the period, and now you just got another couple of sessions left for the expiry, this being a truncated week. So my sense is we should probably close in the region of 5780, 5760. That's a rough band we should be in. Especially, given the pessimism that exists, I don't think the markets are coming down the way everybody very readily anticipates.
Prakash, hi, morning. But domestically, what is the pessimism on account of?
Actually, we possibly are missing out on positive triggers. We got used to, this whole reforms push right from September. We've been kind of conditioned to hear about some positive news on the reform side every week, 10 days. But somehow, post the budget, nothing much has happened. We also have the debacle on the political side, which is kind of causing a lot of uncertainty. Now, there's so much of guessing that's happening on when the elections would happen, So my sense is nobody is looking at, the positive impact of whatever changes have happened on interest rates, whatever announcements have been made, things have started moving. Look at the OMCs, they've started putting things into place the way they, planned starting off in January. So everybody is discounting the good news, and it's pessimism more on account of lack of strong positive triggers. That's probably, the best way to explain the market.
This 45% increase in diesel prices, do you think that will have a meaningful impact, or people are now pretty much pricing it in, considering that it happens month after month?
No, what's important is that the price increases are finally happening, and if it continues to go on like this, in spite of the political wicket being slightly weak for the government, they have been able to push this, which is a signal that they will go ahead with at least some of these decisions that they've taken before the DMK pullout happened, and which augurs well. It gives you the confidence that somewhere things could probably start working out in favor of reforms rather than vacillating back to populism.
Prakash, what about the consumer names? A small stock, not a very liquid stock, Nestle to hike royalty. HUL has raised prices in certain key packets, which are essentially the ones which have given it volume growth as well. What do you do with this theme, particularly the larger names like HUL?
Yeah, I think, while people are looking at moving into defensives again in a significant way, HUL and Nestle may not be the best choices out there thanks to valuation. And my fear is inflation finally would catch up somewhere and start impacting consumption as well. And, we will start seeing consumption come down. It's very natural, it's a cycle that we need to kind of accept. The only thing is still now we've not seen very veritable kind of changes happen in terms of consumption numbers. Automobiles, we've already started seeing that, but FMCG is the next big block that we will probably see. So I would stay out of some of the high price, high valued FMCG names, but rather go in for the entry level mid-cap FMCG players. If you want to ask me names, you have the likes of Marico, which are still undervalued. You would still go ahead with a Bata, you would still go ahead with a, Dabur, but not necessarily an HUL or a Nestle.
Prakash, what have you made of the selling that we've seen in the real estate space, with the index itself losing about 13% last week? Is it a typical case of high beta selling?
Yeah, it's high beta, over leveraged kind of balance sheets which are absolutely not getting in favor. And what's happening is because of any positive triggers where there could be some buying in these counters, the bears have a field day, hammering these stocks, and then nobody to kind of come to the rescue. I think it's more of a, technical advantage that the bears have in the market for such stocks where, people just refuse to kind of come and start buying at even lower levels. So I think some of the good real estate players have also got impacted. The likes of Puravankara, Omax. I don't think there's anything in Soba developers. There's some very fundamentally strong names as well, but it's just a technical advantage that the bears have in the market.
Prakash, what is your sense on what the future may entail for Reliance, considering now it's come out from the oil minister himself saying that they may look at gas price revision in a fortnight or so? See certain headroom in Reliance, the stock?
Absolutely, Aisha. In fact, at these levels, it also has a very decent safety margin. I don't expect it to really slip down. And it's been pretty resilient if you compare it with some of the other large cap names. When we lost this 4% last week, Reliance has not really kind of, given way to its kind of downward pressure. In fact, what could change is, the telecom game could alter the entire profile of the company and the rating that it has all the time been kind of getting accorded. So my sense is Reliance is a fairly medium-term strong bet which people could start buying into. It should definitely hold on to its headroom.
Prakash, the other bit would be Cairn India. Everybody talks about oil and gas, Cairn India being, I've heard unanimously everybody say that Cairn is the stock to buy, and then it was above 300, sub 300 as well now. What do you do with the Cairn India?
You definitely buy into it, Neeraj. Very clearly what's seeming now is the reconciliation between the Vedanta group and the government, somewhere has kind of started, the stiffness has started thawing, and I think the fact that the Vedanta Group has also offered a board seat, which of course may not be possible from the Companies Act particularly, but the fact that this is reconciliation enough that could start making approvals happen faster means we'll actually start seeing those projections happen on the oil production. And very clearly, this is going to re-rate the stock, because of which it had lost some ground. And I think it should get back into the mid 300s from these levels very quickly.
What about some of the losers last week, Prakash? I asked you about the real estate names. There were others, Sugar for example, wherein the decontrol keeps on getting postponed and the stocks keep on drifting lower.
Yeah, Sugar, is definitely going to be also politically sensitive as we draw closer to the possibility and the timing of elections. Things could change dramatically for this sector. But my sense is decontrol will happen. It may not be very advantageous to the sugar producers right now, but things could change after a couple of quarters. And probably I would not want to kind of get into it, given the fact that there are many better opportunities available elsewhere right now.
Prakash, what's the call then on the banking pack? Because bond yields are now, heading lower, and it seems like there is some hint of balance sheets actually improving when it comes to names like SBI.
Yeah, I think, some of these banks have unnecessarily taken the beating on the chin precisely because, our expectations were too high in terms of interest rate cuts, and things didn't kind of move accordingly. But look at a very benign situation. Interest rates are going to be the reduction in interest rates, in my view, is going to be a process which is going to be at least a few quarters away from now. It's not something which is like an event that could happen overnight. So that impact will finally start percolating down to the banks a bit later. So if you have the patience, banks at these current valuations, particularly the likes of an SBI, BOB, and OBC from the PSU pack, are distinctly very attractive from a valuation perspective also.
Okay, so those are some specific names to watch out for as well. Prakash, just one final word really. Some quality names in the financial space. We spoke about SBI. What about the infra finances, particularly IDFC, which has been hammered out of shape? Can it see some investor interest coming in as well? It's sub 140 or 145 or thereabouts, fallen quite a bit really.
Neeraj, this used to be one of our favorite stocks, but of late we've seen it kind of slip very definitively downwards, and I still expect it to have some sort of a downward stress. I would start looking at it seriously at about 110, 115 levels, not before that.
Okay, the pre-open rates have stabilized. Prakash, just stay on, one final word from you, but the pre-open rates have stabilized. So in all probability, expect JP, Hindalco to move up. Expect the oil marketing companies to move up. BPCL is showing an uptick of close to 3% should pull up that one for you for the day. BPCL should come up on your screen, my guess is. I'll open with maybe a couple of percentage points or 2.9% higher. So yeah, some upticks that could come into BPCL. Prakash, one word on the OMCs in particular, a BPCL or IOC maybe?
Just the IOC. The IOC stock is distinctly undervalued. BPCL, I really don't think there's too much of headroom left, but IOC distinctly is the top pick out of the three.